Now, though, it's a massive night in Europe on the talkSPORT network as Arsenal travel to Bayern Munich and City host Real Madrid. But does anyone actually want a fifth Champions League spot?
There will be an extra place in the Champions League for next season for either, we think, a German club or an English club.
There'll be a lot of Spurs fans watching as well, hoping that Bayern Munich go through.
If Arsenal were to knock Bayern out, that would swing it back England's way because it's Germany who have the advantage at the moment.
And this place can smell the Champions League.
If it's good that you can smell the Champions League. That was European football expert Kevin Atchard and Bayern Munich forward Harry Kane discussing what tonight's games mean for England's chances at securing a fifth Champions League place. And of course, you can have your say on whether you want 5 English teams in next year's Champions League. 03717223344. I'm voting no, you're voting yes. Tell me why yes.
Only because, well, if the Germans, if you're going to pass it up and let a German team have it, well, I'd rather it a Premier League team.
Forget
but
that.
I can't forget that.
No, I want you to, right? Forget that it's going to go to someone. Do you think that we should have a quarter of the Premier League playing Champions League?
No, I don't. I would agree with you there. I don't believe it's great. And I don't actually think it's right. Listen, for years we were even discussing 4, weren't we?
Well, you and I grew up when it was 1,
exactly.
Right?
It was 1, yeah. So to have 4 is something. To have 5, I'm kind of with you. However, would I rather it go to a Premier League team? Would I rather see another Premier League team playing in some of these amazing Champions League matches? Yeah, I would. Of course I would.
Yeah, but you'd rather see it than someone else get it.
Yeah,
but that's not my question.
But if the question is, is it right? Does it sit well with you, with me? No, not really. No, I don't. I don't think it's particularly great.
Should the Champions League be champions?
It can't, and it never can, because broadcasters and because money and because everything else nowadays, I'm afraid just having 1 in from each nation ain't going to be anywhere near enough. So it's always going to be like a mini league, like it is. And I happen to think Champions League football at this stage, at quarterfinals onwards, I think it's the best football anywhere on the planet. I think it's better than international football. The only international football I think that compares is probably the final of a Euros or maybe semis and final of the World Cup. I think this football with these players and the type of teams that are involved, I think it's the best football anywhere. I really do. And I think the margins for success and failure in these matches are so fine. I mean, last night we've seen a man get sent off, Araujo, the centre-half for Barca, get sent off when they're in the box seat. They're at home, they're in front on the night, everything's going well for them. He gets sent off and the game flips and spins on its head. And I don't think you see that very, very often. That's why I love it.
Let me ask you, if you're a manager at a club, let's say Newcastle, would you rather, as a manager, take your side in the Champions League and not get out of the group, or be in the Europa League and go very, very far and have a chance of winning it?
I mean, look, winning... I've only got to look at how West Ham enjoyed their moment last season in the Europa Conference. I still think being in the Champions League draw, when you think of what Celtic and Rangers, what it means to those two teams financially as well every year, to just get in the hat with the big boys, I think there's something special.
What's better then for West Ham, right? To win the conference or to get into the group stages of the Champions League and not get out of it?
Well, and, I mean, again... You'd have to ask West Ham fans that. I think as a player, you'd want to try and play in the Champions League, but to win any trophy, all those West Ham boys that had that night last year was incredible for them. Amazing. It's a difficult question, that, because winning something, I think, is always the ultimate. But the Champions League, I don't know about the Europa League. Getting into going deep into the Europa League. But I do think playing in the Champions League is probably something very special.
But the Europa League's different to you and I, because if I asked you that question and the question was the UEFA Cup, that was a little bit special, wasn't it?
Yeah, UEFA Cup was good fun.
Cup Winners' Cup as well.
To play in. Obviously, I never won it, and never went deep into the competition. Really.
How far did you go in this?
We won at Villa. I think we won the first sort of round. It might have been just second round.
Okay.
I think We beat Inter Milan on a good night, and then I think we got beat by a Turkish team, Trabzon.
Do you play over there?
Yes.
What was the score in that game?
I think we drew in Milan, and then we won 1-0. Ray Houghton scored. Actually, no, we lost. There you go. We lost in. Beg your pardon. We lost in Milan.
Yeah.
And then we beat them 1-0 at home at Villa Park, and then we beat them on penalties. We went through on penalties.
Oh, you beat them in their backyard. They beat you in yours.
No, we
Right.
lost out there. We beat them 1-0 at Villa Park, and then we won on pens.
You take one
Yes.
first.
No.
You scored it though, right?
Third, yeah,
Scored it.
something like that.
Of course
Third,
you
yeah.
Right, let's go to the phone lines to find out from you. 03717223344. Do you really want another spot in the Premier League going into the Champions League? A quarter. Will be a quarter of them. Ollie's a Man United fan. Hi, Ollie.
Hi guys, good afternoon. You okay?
I'm
Good,
great.
Ollie.
How are you today? Thanks for asking.
Well, very well, thank you, mate. Very
Good,
well. Can
good.
I just say, from a Manchester United fan's perspective, again, we've had a very poor season. If it gives us a 20% chance of getting in the Champions League, I'm going to take it. We get the better players, better revenue. You get far more publicity, being publicised, being in the top European competition than you do in the Europa League. Also, going to matches on a Saturday, Wednesday, Tuesday is a lot easier and nicer than going on a Sunday and Thursday. And I've got to look at it from my perspective as a fan as well.
Yeah. Ollie, also, you make some really good points there. Also, and playing in that Champions League will entice the better players.
Yes.
If you're
Yes,
a
it
Champions League team,
You've got more chance of attracting the big boys.
you have got you got much more chance of being in the
I
running.
know,
to
but you're
sign some of
talking
the
about
big
it
hitters.
from your own personal club's perspective. I'm talking about, as a football fan, do we really want 5 spots in the Premier League going to Champions League?
What's not to like about that? It's just the
I
morality
just think
of
it
it. for you.
weakens the brand of the Champions League. What, 5th? Yeah.
I just think if there's an opportunity here, and the way it happens to have fallen, there's an opportunity for teams from the Premier League to have another one in there, as opposed to going to another team in Italy or another team in Germany. Well, of course, bring it on. I'd much rather it go to one of ours.
I get that.
Much
I
rather
get it.
it
But,
go to
you're
one
going to
of
have a
ours.
team. I mean, Villa and
But
Spurs have both lost 8 games this season,
But
right?
I do think we've now become so accustomed to the top 4. I don't think that should become a top 5. No, I don't.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Let's take one more. Angel, I think is how you pronounce it. Hello, Angel.
Hello, mate. Yeah, people call me Angel, but
Oh, okay.
Look,
I was trying to be, a little bit
no,
flashy there.
no, you got it right. You got it right.
Okay.
You got it right. But I'm a Tottenham fan, right? But I think this is. You've just alluded to it, Andy. It's called Champions League, and if either Tottenham or Aston Villa get it, who knows? Man United may even surprise us, right?
No, they won't.
No, I know. But you're going to get a team that haven't won a trophy in I don't know how many years, playing in the Champions League. That's Trade Description Act, right? Do you know what I mean? For me, it just doesn't feel right. Maybe I'm old and I remember when it was the champions that played in it. But yeah, it just doesn't. Yeah, I don't like it. I don't.
But
think
you
it's
might
right.
get it. You're a Spurs fan. You might get it.
Yeah, having said that, listen, I'd rather get it than a German team. I agree with Andy Townsend, but.
Okay, well, let me ask you this: as a Spurs fan, right? Realistically, I know Spurs fans will say we got to the final. Realistically, you're not going to win it, right?
No, we're not.
Okay, but you've got a chance, and more than a fair chance, of winning the Europa League. Okay.
Yeah.
So
I'll go with that,
what
yeah.
one as a Spurs fan? What one would you rather be in, knowing that?
Okay, play devil's advocate, go in the Champions League, come third in the group, win the Europa. But I understand what you're saying. We need a trophy. I'll take anything.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds terrible, but
No,
it's
it
true.
doesn't. No, I get that. Thanks for your call.
Thanks a
Angel.
lot, pal.
Yeah, I can see it. From
Yeah.
Spurs' perspective, it's different for every club, right? I mean, I think Spurs winning the conference would be great for Spurs. They just need a trophy. Then everyone can stop talking about the fact that they haven't won one for so long.
Yeah, they can. Look, listen, we've seen up north of the border, when you've seen Celtic and Rangers in the Champions League, and how difficult it is for them to kind of get anywhere near that sort of level. And as much as it's like the Holy Grail to get there every year and to make 40 million quid or whatever it is for those clubs in Scotland to just get into those group stages, they get, more often than not, they're getting well beaten every year, and before the competition's even got going, they're out. So that's kind of difficult and it must be kind of slightly difficult, I would imagine, for Celtic and Rangers fans to even get seriously revved up. Those big nights I've seen some unbelievable nights at Celtic Park in the Champions League. I really have, and I've seen them win against some of the very best. But it must be difficult when you know, or not, when inevitably you get beat and you go out early on, as opposed to what you're saying. Whereas if they're in something else, they could go on and maybe win that. Yeah. So I get it. I do get it. But I just think the Champions League has just become the everything. It's become it's so huge and it's so significant for your team to be a part of it. I find it very difficult to compare that with anything else.
talkSPORT Drive. Super opinionated sporting debate. Monday to Friday afternoon from 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.